Hello lovely makers, welcome to episode 8 of the Miss Leela Handmade podcast. A big welcome back to returning viewers and a big welcome to any new viewers who have made their way to my little corner of YouTube. This is a podcast about my making life, creative life. It's a knitting, sort of, crochet and patchwork sewing podcast, not garment sewing. Maybe in the future, but not right now. I'm coming to you from my home studio in the beautiful Blue Mountains, west of Sydney, Australia. So, another podcast, another way to film it. So, let's be honest, there were some pretty, blunt technical difficulties with the last episode. I didn't realise until I had uploaded the video and was watching it back myself, and I realised that every time my camera turned off, because it only stayed on for 10 minutes, I thought that was also when it was stopping filming, but it actually stops filming at around 9 minutes. So I was chatting away for a whole minute and then the camera will turn off and I think, okay, well, that's that 10 minutes done. But no. So literally every time, there was I don't know how many times I had to restart the camera, but so there was a lot lost in translation in the last podcast and I apologise for that. So today I'm filming not on my digital camera, but on my new iPhone. So I recently upgraded from a 6 to an 8, and because this phone now has 64 gig of storage opposed to the 32 I previously had, I now have more room to hopefully film the entire episode. Fingers crossed. I've got about half the space on the phone available, so I'm pretty sure I should manage to get the whole podcast filmed. And I just did a test for the sound and it's sounding pretty good, and I've had a look and the colours are looking pretty good. So here we go, we're going to try this way. I'm not quite sure I know I should be looking at the little dot where the camera is, but I'm pretty much looking at my face, so if it looks like I'm not looking at you, then I apologise for that. But anyway, I meant to film this podcast last week and the week before that, but I hurt my back. Nothing major, I just pinched my sciatic nerve, which is an old injury from back when I played soccer and volleyball many moons ago. And I was doing some gardening and I aggravated it, and then the following week I aggravated it again. Doing something that I shouldn't have done, but anyway. So I still have a little bit of pain in it today because I was standing up this morning doing some cutting and ironing, and so it's a bit sore at the moment, but I've been using some cream on it and my heat packs, and that's helping a lot, so it's not too bad. Okay, so I have 2 whole pages of show notes today, and I followed, I'm not sure if you watch her, but if you don't, you should, Skandia Knits' advice when she did her episode on podcasting, and I typed up my show notes ready for my blog before filming so that I could then use them as my notes to keep track of what to talk to you today about. So thanks for that tip, Ellie. So yes, we have a lot to go through. I have quite a few finished objects because, as I said, I was going to film this podcast 2 weeks ago and that didn't happen. So some of the things that were makes in progress turned into finished objects. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Okay. All right, so I have 3 crochet finished objects today. The first is nothing too special, but I finished the baby doll blanket I was making for Tilly's baby doll. It's just a very simple treble crochet in the row. The yarn is Rico Baby So Soft Print DK, and I think the color is Party. So it's just a simple trebles, and then on the two sort of ends, like it was crocheted across like this way, so then the two ends, because I kind of stuffed it up and I increased when I shouldn't have, and the sides are a bit wonky, to try and disguise that a little bit, I did just like a simple just shell kind of stitch along just the two ends. So yeah, Tilly's baby doll is not getting a great amount of love at the moment, and quite often when I go to put the blanket on the baby doll, it sits in a little pram. Tilly's no, and she takes it and she throws it on the ground and then she'll get the baby and she'll put the baby on the ground, and I'm like, oh, that's not very nice, Tilly. You know, baby needs cuddles and she needs love. She might be cold. She needs her her little blanket. So yeah, it's a bit hit and miss. Sometimes it's okay to give baby her blanket, and sometimes it's very not okay. But that's all right. So yeah, I have some other things that I want to make for her baby doll. I think she needs a little beanie, and I've still got some of this left. Not much, but I've probably got enough to do a little beanie for the baby as well. But this is really soft yarn. I haven't used it Rico Baby before. I think my mum actually used this. I got it out of her stash, and she made a cardigan for Tilly when she was a bit younger. It doesn't quite fit her now, although it will fit her nicely as a cropped cardi for spring. So it doesn't fit her for winter, but it'll fit her for spring. So that's number one, finished. The second thing that I finished is also for Tilly, and it is this head warmer / cowl. Actually, it kind of goes that way. So this pattern is the Praline head warmer by Velvet Acorn, and it's one of my Make 9 makes for Tilly. And the yarn, this blue chunky yarn, is Shiver by Moda Vera in colour 38. The white is just a natural wool. I think that's also a Moda one. I didn't write down the colour number. And the green is just a green from my stash. And then these little buttons. Sorry, I've got a light on to help, but it's kind of blowing out when I get closer. These are from Daily Like, and there's an Australian Daily Like website and a Canadian one. I'll put links in the show notes to the Australian one, and at the moment they're having a pretty big sale on all of their things. So they have fabric, they have like a wax kind of coated fabric that's waterproof. They have some notions, so they have buttons like this, they have washi tape, they have lace and like ribbons, they've got twine. I'm trying to think what else they have. They got lots of, and their prints are really pretty. And I may have put a few things in the cart. I haven't hit proceed yet. It's sitting on the computer waiting for me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'll go ahead with it or not. The prices were really good. It's almost like 50% off. And but next weekend is my birthday weekend, and Mum and I are going to the Hunters Hill Quilt Show, and there'll be quilt shops vending there, and then we're also going to Skane Sisters. So I kind of feel like I should keep my pennies for next weekend, and then the weekend after that is the Blue Mountains Makers Artisan Market, which I'm having a stall at, and I also am helping to organise. And there's going to be lots of stalls there where I may want to buy some things. So I'm kind of on the fence. Haven't hit proceed yet, but we'll see. Anyway, back to this head warmer. So Tilly loves it. She really loves wearing hats and beanies and things, which is really good. So the idea of this is it's a head warmer. I could probably even, no, it'll mess up my hair if I put it on. It can be worn as a head warmer, but then you can pull it over the head and you can sort of scrunch it and wear it as a cowl as well. And I did make it a bit big for Tilly, so it does sort of fall down over her forehead and her eyes, but that's okay because that just means that she'll be able to get wear out of it next year and potentially even the year after that, so that's fine. But yeah, it's really pretty. So I'll put a link in the show notes to where you can get this pattern. Yeah, really happy with that one. And I ticked one of my makes off, my make 9 list, so that's good. Okay, so my last finished object for crochet. Yes, I did show these as a work in progress last time. So these are my Soul Soothing Knits. And this is a pattern by Sandra of the Cherry Heart podcast, which I'm sure you all know who lovely Sandra is. Oh, I'm showing one upside down, that's silly. This is the top. This is the bottom, or the cuff. That's round the wrong way. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but Tink's chasing her tail next to me on the floor. Can you hear a little jingle in bell? That's what it is. Okay, so I made these to take part in Sandra's Cherry Heart Make Along, and I did finish them in time. I was super proud of myself. Actually, they crocheted up really quickly. I worked on one in my lunch breaks at work and finished that within a week, and the other one I started at work and then I finished it one night while watching the football with Tim. So I really am liking these quick little crochet makes, because it feels so satisfying when you finish them. I really like the stitch pattern. I'm not going to give it away because it is a paid for pattern. And the yarn that I used is by the Australian Wool Store. It's 100% superwash merino. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. Superwash merino in colour strawberry malt. It's showing a bit, I don't know, almost yellow there. Yeah, it's not really showing properly. It's like a really it's like a skin tone colour. It's pink, but it's like a real pale, washed out skin tone colour. It's very similar to my cardigan that jumper that I've got on, which I didn't knit. Bought one. One day I'll be able to knit myself jumpers. Join the jumper party or sweater party. They're quite often called. I really like, things that I really like is just this simple detail across the top, and I didn't do a gauge swatch. I probably should have, because I'm quite a tight crocheter, so I do have to really sort of stretch them to get them over this part of my wrist. Once they're on, they're fine. And I did skip a couple of the row repeats. I think I only missed 2 because I felt like they were long enough. I didn't want them too long. And yeah, so really happy with those. Show them right way around, Leela. Yeah, so that's that one done. Okay. So my next finished objects are all patchwork. So the first two you have not seen at all. You'll only have seen them most recently on Instagram. And they're test pieces for, or pattern development, my test pieces for two new patterns. Not patterns that I'm releasing, but two new patterns for shop items. So I'll show you this one first. So this is my mini pin pennant. So it has a hexie heart, all hand stitched using the EPP method. They're all Liberty fabrics. And then the bottom part is a piece of felt, and then this top part is just a plain cotton. And you can see I've put 2 pins on it. So these are my fantastic EPP pins from Pinpoints on Instagram. I will put a link in the show notes. That's not on this sheet, so I must remember to do that. And then it's just got a cotton binding, and on the back I've just got a cotton spot fabric and one of my labels, and 2 just, what do you call this? Is it bias tape? Bias binding cork ribbon or whatever it is. And then I've just used a little dowel and a little wool for the hanger. So this was my test piece, and I am going to be doing the ones that I make to sell in my shop different. So the first thing is, I don't think it's going to have the felt on the front. I think it will probably still be 2 different fabrics, but they'll be fabrics, not felt. I'm also thinking that I'm not going to be doing the binding because that was really tricky and it sort of didn't work out in the corners very well. It's not too bad, but this one here didn't work out too good. I'm thinking I may use a piece of felt on the back, but I also feel like that's not massively necessary. So yeah, so I was just experimenting really with it. So, but I do really like it. It's really cute. It's blowing out a bit modified. Just trying to. That's a bit better, isn't it? There you go. Don't want to see my face, do you? Look at those pins. Aren't they just the best thing ever? So that's my pin pennant. So look out for them in the shop sometime soon. And the second little thing that I made that was also a test item for new shop product is this little pin cushion. So again, it's 3/8 inch hexagons made from Liberty scraps, all hand pieced. Then it's hand appliqued onto just a cotton fabric. And then on the back, I just dressed up the back a little bit with 2 different fabrics and just a bit of lace. And the closure is actually this bit here. So I've been making pin cushions before. I'm terrible at slip stitching seams closed. Like it's not the funnest thing in the world to do. And so I kind of made this almost like a pillowcase kind of thing, so that I actually then just whip stitched or kind of applique stitched across here to close it. So this is, and it meant also that I had a big opening to stuff it with. So this particular one is just stuffed with cotton scraps and very tiny fabric scraps from when I'm cutting out these hexagons. And I really like to use that as stuffing because you know, like I don't want to put it in the bin just because, like everyone, I'm trying to do my bit for the environment and reduce my, you know, reduce waste. But I think for the ones that I put in the shop, I will put a bit of wadding in with the scraps because the scraps do make it quite flat, and I think it does need a bit of wadding just to puff it up a bit. And then I put this little tab on so that you can attach this to something else, or you could put like a ring on here with your stitch markers on it, or just a little tab. You could also use it to hang or whatever. So yeah, so they'll be coming to my shop soon. In my Makes in Progress, I'll show you some flowers that I've got ready to go. Okay, I'm just gonna have some more tea. Excuse me. Okay. I'm just turning my baby monitor off because the battery doesn't last very long, and I'll hear her if she wakes up anyway. Yeah, so Tilly's with me today at home. Today's Friday, so it's my work day at home for my business. I work Monday to Thursday as an interior designer for my employee, who I've worked with for 13 years this year, which is a long time. So I'm podcasting while Tilly's having a nap, because as soon as she sees the camera, she'll want to be in it and she'll want to sit on my lap, and so it's just a bit easier at the moment to podcast when she's napping. Okay, so the next two finished items I have are very exciting. So the first one you saw in the last podcast episode as a make in progress, but it is now finished, and it is you would have seen it on Instagram, but this is my Liberty Mosaic mini quilt number 1. Excuse me. So it's all finished. So this was using, as I spoke about in the last episode, Liberty fabric that I received in the monthly subscription from Westwood Acres, their Liberty Club. On the back, I just have some fabric from my stash, kind of like an imitation Liberty fabric. It's just a cotton. And I've got 2 ways to hang this one. So I have a sleeve here, so the rod can go through the sleeve. But I also put these little ribbon tabs so that you can put the rod through there, or you can put these onto hooks in the wall. So you can loop, there's 2. So you can loop them onto hooks in the wall, or you can put the rod through and hang it like that, which is how I've got it hanging at the moment. Oh, sorry, I'm not used to talking so much. So really happy with how this turned out. The quilting is all hand quilted, and I quilted, probably see it, so I quilted around the square and then around here. And then I also quilted along the line this way and along the lines this way. So sticking out. Just trying to. So yeah, so really happy with how that has come out. It's really pretty hanging on my wall. So the blocks all are 4 inch and the center square is a 2 inch. These are 2 inch half square triangles, and then this one is, well, just, you know, this side, this longer side is 2 inches, and then whatever this size is, you know, my maths isn't great. I need to use online calculators to work it out. So yeah. So that's that one, all finished. So I'm not doing too bad with my sample quilts, miniature sample quilts for all my paper pieces. I am planning on writing this up as a very basic pattern. I really want to start writing patterns, but I've never written a pattern before, and I am a bit nervous about it. So what I thought I might do is, essentially I'm going to have kits for this, so you can purchase the kit, and in the kit you get the different, all the pieces. So you'll get this square, the smaller 1 inch square, the 2 half square triangles, and this triangle. You'll get all the papers you need to make this quilt this size. And then I'm just going to have basic instructions of how I constructed the blocks, and it will sort of assume that you have knowledge of English paper piecing. I think that's how I'm going to do it, just because I struggle with time, and what am I trying to say? I struggle to find time to do all the things that I want to do, and I don't want to do things by half, but until I feel confident, I'm just going to do the patterns for these quilts. It's more a kit. It's more that you buy in the kit with some basic instructions on how to make it. In the kit, I'm going to have, like, you'll have a pattern sheet of all this, like literally a drawing of this quilt design, and then there'll be a coloured version, and there'll also be a non-coloured version, so that you can, like a colouring sheet, so you can colour in the squares and the triangles. So you can sort of pick your fabrics and then assign a colour to them and colour them in, so you can sort of play with the design and how you want to, what colours you want to do where, that sort of thing. So yeah, so that's finished. Just gonna put that there. Okay, just need some more tea. All this talking really dries out my throat. Okay, so then the next one I've got to show you is another mini quilt. You will have seen this if you follow me on Instagram, but you haven't seen it on the podcast at all. And this is my Liberty Mosaic Quilt number 2. And I love this one. Oh, seeing it on camera, that just looks amazing. So again, this was using the first quilt was using the June Westwood Acres Liberty Club, and this one is using the July Westwood Acres Liberty Club, and I'll show you the fabrics in a minute. I showed the last lot of fabrics on my last podcast for the other one. So this is made with 3/4 inch octagons and squares. So the patterned prints are from the subscription, but I bought these solid colours. They're also Liberty Tan and Lawn. I bought them when I was at the quilt show. God, that was 2 months ago now. This is how long I've been trying to podcast. From the Strawberry Thief which is one of the shops in Australia that we have here that supply Liberty fabric, and that's all she's pretty much, I think that's all she supplies is Liberty. So yeah, so that's the shape. So the octagons will be new shapes coming to my shop very soon. I've got them all cut. I'm going to be moving my papers to a new brand label, and I'm just trying to work out when I'm going to do that because it means setting up a whole new shop and everything as well. But anyway, so then the quilting, so I lined up the points of the squares this way and this way, and that's how I did it. So the actual, yeah, so essentially like it's quilted around the square, but I just like drew a line down and to meet all the points of the squares. And then for something a bit different, I can probably see best on this pink one, is I actually used a blue cotton to do the quilting. And I really like it. And I really like, I haven't ever quilted, I did this on the machine, the quilting of this one. And it's the first time that I've really quite heavily quilted something, because there's a lot of quilting lines there. And I really like it. I think it's really made it for this quilt. And also this one, with this one, it feels quite a lot thicker and more squishy, if that makes sense, because the batting that I used in this was an iron-on pellon, and it wasn't a super thin iron-on pellon, it was a bit spongier, I'll say. And I don't really actually, I feel like it's made it really, like you can see all along here, it's just, I don't know, it doesn't look as smooth as this. Can you see? So the wadding in this one is an actual cotton quilt batting, but it's a very thin batting, and it, I think, has really helped. You can see sort of how thin it is. It's very thin. So I think it's really made it. So I put, this is the palest pink Liberty fabric that I got. So I hand pieced a border on, and then I've used the teal blue sort of colour for the binding. On the back, I've just got this fabric that I pulled from my stash. And again, I made a sleeve. Can hardly see, there it is. A sleeve, but I've also done the ribbon tabs. And yeah, this one kind of reminds me of like tessellated tile patterns, but I feel like this has a real kind of, I don't know, like Greek Isles kind of feel to it. I think it's these blues and the colours working together. So it's just, I'm really, really happy with how this one turned out. Really happy. I think it's my favourite mini quilt so far that I've made. And it was really fun working with the octagons. So it's a new shape for me. I haven't used octagons before, and like I said, I will be adding octagons to my shop very shortly. Whether that's my new shop or my pretty old one. So I'll show you the prints that were in this club. Okay, so I didn't use all of them. I think there was 3 that I didn't use. So I'll try and show them. So in the center, working out from the center of the quilt, I used this little dragonfly print with this textured one. Kind of reminds me like pebbles, or it's a bit terrazzo looking actually, isn't it? Terrazzo is so in fashion at the moment. Then branching out from that was this pretty floral. with these gorgeous little foxes. Oh, they're so cute. Colours worked really well together. And then out from that was this blue leaf, viney leaf one, which I paired with this one, paisley. Now I love Liberty Fabrics, but don't ask me what all the designs are called. The only design that I know the name of is the Betsy one because it's so popular. And then coming out from that, I used this blue swirly one with, I don't have much of this one left because with this print, a larger print. And then these are the plains that I used, that I bought from Strawberry Thief. So the pale pink, really pale pink, and then a slightly darker pink, then this beautiful, gorgeous, like peachy, bright peachy coloured one. And then I had a grey, and then the teal. Keep peeking out. The teal blue. So the prints that I didn't use that came in that bundle was this one, this one, and this one. So I kind of felt like they didn't quite, the colours didn't blend in with the ones that I picked and in with these. So yeah, really happy with that one. So this week in the mail I received my last subscription bundle because I was fortunate enough, I think I mentioned this in the last episode, to get a brand rep role with Westwood Acres, and so I've received 3 months free to share and show. So this is my last bundle, and it's probably the prettiest bundle, I think. But let's have a look together, because I haven't actually really looked at them yet. So here's that gorgeous fox print again in a different colourway. And then, ooh, look at this one. Poppies. That pretty. Beautiful poppies. The beautiful floral. Oh, I think I saw Jules wearing a top made out of this. Jules from So Sweet Violet. In violets. Are they violets? They kind of remind me actually of geraniums. The like wild ones. And then this blue and grey print. Oh, look at this one. This one's pretty. Oh, it's spring. Actually feels a bit like spring here today. We've had some very mild end of July into August weather. It's been up in the around the 20s and beautiful sunshine. So it's very nice. This large floral. And then this is, oh, this is the same print as this one, but a different colourway. Same as this one, but different colours, colourway. So very spring-like, isn't it? Roses. And lastly, pretty little pink leaf one. So, looking forward to designing my next mini quilt with that. Not too sure yet what it's going to be. One of the the other new shapes I'll be adding to the shop are pentagons. So I'm thinking I may make some pentagon flowers and do some kind of design with that. So, but I have to actually draw something up, I think, before I get started. Sorry, I need more tea. It's kind of gone cold too. Okay, so that's all my finished objects. Told you there was a few. All right. So in terms of makes in progress, I don't actually have any like personal makes. Obviously, I'll be starting at the new mini quilt using these. But I only received the fabric at the start of the week and being busy at work. So anyway, so I thought I'd share with you my, I'm laughing because it's not great. My knitting progress, which is pretty non-existent. I've been doing a lot of sewing, so, and I've got a lot of boo-boos since we last saw it, so I can't remember. I should put a progress marker on it. Can't remember where I was up to last time, but some significant problems with my so this whole bit down the bottom is perfect, and then that was my first lesson with Mum. I can't even, what is this, garter stitch? This is garter, isn't it? Garter stitch. And then Mum taught me stockinette, and I created my first eyelet. I didn't drop a stitch, I created an eyelet by accident. My first eyelet. Hello, can you see me? And then my next lesson was alternating between the two, and I was supposed to practice a like rib stitch kind of thing. So Mum thought we'll start with a sort of wide one. So I was doing three knit, 3 purl, or what. See, this is how bad I am. I can't even remember the terminology. I haven't even got the terminology down yet. All you knitters out there that are watching me are screaming at me, I know. So anyway, I did a couple of rows with Mum actually while we were at the quilt show. That was my third knitting lesson. And then I went away at home and I didn't pick it up straight away, which is what I should have done. And then I picked it up maybe like a week, or could even have been 2 weeks later, and tried to remember what I was supposed to be doing and failed miserably. So I've got all these eyelets, all these little eyelets, and they are actually eyelets because I didn't drop a stitch. I think maybe one of them, I think I dropped a stitch there. But I've got all these holes in my knitting. And then somehow here, as you can see, I increased. I don't know how I did that. And I now seem to have more stitches because this bit's gone whoop. So when I stuffed that up, obviously I had no idea how to fix what I'd done. So then I just went back to doing garter stitch, and I thought, I think I just need to practice doing the stitch, and I really need Mum to show me how to fix a drop stitch if I do drop one. But yeah, I think I've got a little tiny hole there too. What have I done there? Anyway. And what I have sort of been working on, I think you can tell too, from here to up here, I've been trying to loosen my gauge. Because Mum kept telling me, very tight, Leela, very tight, you need to loosen up your gauge. So I think I have sort of managed that now. They are a bit looser on their needle. So that's my knitting. I'll get there eventually. I really want to knit socks. I think socks is a bit beyond me at the moment. I think I need a lot more practice before I knit myself some socks. So I'm keeping my knitting in my gorgeous project bag from Seaworthy Knots, yep, Seaworthy Knots. This is a really nice box bottom. It's made with jean fabric. And then it's just got calico on the inside. Just a simple drawstring bag. It's the first project bag I ever bought. So, is that in there? I don't know what that was. Leaf or something. So, that's my knitting. Alright, we're 45 minutes in and the camera hasn't stopped yet. Woohoo! That's excellent. Alright. Okay, so that's my learning to knit. Okay, so the other things that I'm making at the moment are for my shop and for my upcoming market stall. So there's some new products that I'm going to be launching. Tink's like down there. She's probably going to drop in my lap in a minute. So I'm just going to get up and go and get, just so I can show you what I've been doing. Oh, it's a funny one today. Hey, it's a funny one. I hope you're all laughing with me and not at me. Okay, so I came up with a bit of a new idea for some products, for some small products to have at my market stalls. Sorry, this is my little bowl that I put all my little works in progresses in. Oh, look at this. Isn't that cute? This is for me. I'm gonna make it into one of my little heart hexie hoops to hang on my wall. It's all Liberty fabric scraps. And 1/4" hexies, my favourite. And okay, so I've got lots of bits and pieces in here. Oh God, I've even got papers that need to be put away. All right, so oh, I didn't finish that one. Dear, oh dear, I'm just all over the place. Okay, so I've been making these. These are for the pin cushions. So these will be coming to my next market, and then what doesn't sell at market I'll put in the shop. So this is a rainbow one, yellow, pink, red, blue, green, and then I've got purple, not finished yet, needs to be appliqued, and then a couple of just mixed coloured ones. So I'm going to make a couple more of those as well. I've got like neutral ones, but I need more neutral hexagons before I can finish that one. And then I've also made up, I'm not going to show all of them, but lots of little flowers. In the same couple of rainbow ones and then like in colours. These are going to be turned into small needle book or like little needle cozies, just like a small one. But I do have plans on a bigger design as well, needle book cozies. And then I made a couple of Liberty ones as well that will all match. So these won't be ready for the market that I've got coming up, but I'll get them done and they'll probably go up in the shop. So this will be the heart for the pin pennant, and then the flower for the pin cushion, and then the little flower for the needle cozy. I'm in a goofy mood today, I think. So, yeah, pretty. So they're like bright colours. And then I've got a pastel one. And then I've got a bit of a more muted tones. So the heart, large flower, and the small flower. So I've got those ready to, so they're all pieced, I've taken out all the papers. So they're all ready to go onto the next stage. This is a little one that I made for myself. This will be my test needle cozy, needle keeper, because it matches my pin cushion and my pin pennant. And then I've been making, this one's not finished, I need to finish this one, but I've been making lots of scrappy Liberty flowers. These are all 3/8 inch hexagons. And I'm going to turn them into gift tags. So they're going to be, they're not sewn together yet, little fabric gift tags. So this will be the front of the tag, and then on the back, this is the back, and I've embroidered some little kisses. So these will be sewn together. We'll have a loop out the top, and they're little fabric gift tags. So you can, this has got stabilizer, so this is a nice firm kind of surface to write on, just with a Sharpie. Don't have to use like a fabric pen, just a Sharpie will do the job. And they're going to be little gift tags, and they're cute. So I've got, and then I started coming up with lots of other ideas for these gift tags, so that's down the track. But at the moment I've got lots to do. These ones are ready to sew together, and then these ones all need to be appliqued. I'm going to be busy the next couple of nights, I think. And then this little one, this little guy I forgot about. So that's what I've been doing most of the last couple of weeks, because at night I sew for at least 2 hours in my little maker station in our living room. Once Tilly goes to bed, I sit there and I watch my podcasts and get out my sewing. So I've been making tacking lots of hexagons, and then sewing them all together, and then appliquing, doing the appliquing. So been a busy little bee. So I'm hoping that I'll have most of the pin cushions ready, and I'll have these fabric gift tags ready for the market that I've got coming up. And then what doesn't sell at the market, I will put on the on my shop, my online shop. And then, yeah, so I'm working on 2 different designs for a needle keeper, so a small one and then a bigger one. And I have another idea for another new product, which I haven't even started the test piece for that one yet. So I'm very excited. And then I've been tinkering away with ideas for project bags too. And everything that I make will have my customary in there somewhere, English paper piecing, whether it's a flower or something else. But there will be an element of English paper piecing, because that's my one true love. Not ashamed to say it. So that's what I've been working on, which has been most exciting. Busy little bee. Okay, so putting all this back in my little, All right, next on my list. Oh, I can't believe I didn't mention this last episode. I have to get up again. Excuse me just for 1 minute.